take projection.
It's Friday morning, and you know what that means. It's time for the Alabama Slam podcast. I'm your host, Corey Hanna.
What's going on, guys? It's Patrick Akers.
And let's get a little bit of housekeeping out of the way real quick. Last week, I know my levels were hot as shit. I don't know what happened with Riverside. Double-checked them again this week. They look fine. I can never hear myself through Riverside, so I just always have to rely on the levels. They let me down. We tried to record through Libsyn just now, but that didn't work. And I had to lower my mic super low just to get it to even, I don't know, whatever. Let's not go there. But yeah, we're trying Riverside again, and then I usually save this for the end of the show, but if you want a t-shirt or any merch from the Alabama Slam or the Alabama Take, you can find that at tpublic.com. Just search for Alabama Slam. We had some inquiries last week on Twitter about that. And yeah, man, let's get into it. We've got a lot of stuff to discuss. We had a lot of fun last weekend. We went to the GCW Take a Picture event in Huntsville at the VBC and had a fucking blast.
Yeah, it was a packed house. I think that somebody said maybe close to 300 people, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah. I would have probably put it close to 4. I mean, there's a lot of people there.
There was a lot of people in there. It's the first time we took our buddy Charles from work, first time he's ever seen a live wrestling show. And I told him, I was like, you're not a wrestling fan. So the big thing is we have to take you to a show. You have to see it in person. And he was hooked from the very start.
Yeah.
He had because the scramble match opened up, so it was a bunch of different dudes. And when Hunter Drake from New South, which had a huge following there, and they had the GCW versus New South show on that Saturday. But Hunter Drake ended up winning the scramble match, and when he fucking hit that Spanish fly off the top, our boy Charles, that was his first audible big time oh shit where he jumped off the ground.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing like a fucking Spanish fly. Like seeing a Spanish fly in person, that's one of the most beautiful moves in all of wrestling. There's that Spanish fly, the Poison Rana, that reverse Hurricane Rana. And I have to imagine seeing fucking Kenny Omega's V-Trigger live when he hits a really full speed tilt one. Has to be a thing of beauty. And Osprey's probably Hidden Blade are probably the 4 fucking coolest moves I think right now in wrestling. So Drake hit that Spanish fly, got the 1, 2, 3. And Charles looked at us and was like, okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
You have to see the athleticism and the pace that these guys and girls are going at in person, because it really doesn't come across that much through a television screen. It's like if you go to an NFL game for the first time and you see the pregame warm-ups where you're able to kind of go down closer to the field and you're like, holy shit, these dudes are fucking monstrous. Yeah. Even the damn wide receivers are huge, and they are running so fast. It's a freakish level of athleticism. So from the opening scramble match, he was hooked all the way.
Yeah, and you even said then, you're like, yeah, this is fun, but it'll be full bore by the end of the night, and I don't think he had any idea what to expect.
Yeah, and I wish I could remember the other team's name. Was East West Express, Jordan Oliver, Nick Wayne versus Low. What were there in there? Low something. I don't know.
Yeah, they're the champs right now. I totally forgot their names as well.
Yeah, tag team champ. That's the first time I've ever seen them.
No disrespect.
No disrespect, no, because those 4 guys fucking tore down the house.
Yeah.
I told you when Nick Wayne came out that I got the feeling, watching him live, that in about 10 years, when he's on some kind of big time national stage, either main eventing an AEW pay-per-view or he's in WWE or whatever, you and I are going to be like, yeah, we saw him when he was 17 years old in Huntsville. I think that Nick Wayne dude has that kind of potential.
Yeah, well, he's already signed with AEW, so it's just, I wonder how quickly they'll try to get him up.
It's crazy because, he did that match Saturday, and like you said, he's still in high school, so he went back home Sunday, and then Monday he was in fucking geometry class after just tearing the house down in front of almost damn near 400 people. Like that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I will say we learned our lesson by where we posted up when we got there. We went in the back corner, basically behind one of the ring posts, and we were real close, but we missed some things that happened because obviously they were playing to the hard cam, which was on the other side of the
Right.
ring. So I spotted a friend from the Shoals, Daniel Chrysler, and his wife Maggie. So I was going to holler at them, and on the way over there, I heard Hannah, and it was Cassio. So I said, "What up to Cassio?" He said, "Come here, I need you to meet somebody." So I went and met his buddy Shuley, and then ran into the Cho, Corey Ryan Forrester. And I don't remember if Cassio or Corey, one of them was like, "Y'all come over here and chill." So we went over there, and then ended up being right behind our homie Carl Prather, and then ended up meeting the Podfather, Conrad Thompson, as well. So we had a big fucking show, big fun that night, and I'll know where I'm supposed to stand next time because I didn't think about them playing to the hard cam. I should have known, but lesson learned.
Yeah.
So.
The Podfather himself, I don't know if you caught it, but he had probably, 20 seats.
Oh, he had at least 2 rows blocked off for him.
At
and
least
folks.
2 rows. So
Yeah.
the GCW folks knew who they needed to get in with and treated them right. But yeah, man, I was just super impressed. There's really nothing like seeing pro wrestling live in person like that. It really is special to see, especially when you go to a show like GCW where the guys and girls on that show, nobody's doing it for a paycheck, right? So nobody is, much like in our jobs every day, there are some days where you're just like, man, I don't want to fucking come to work today. There's none of that at these indie level shows. Like these people are doing it for the love of the art form. And you could tell all these men and women are giving it their all, blood, sweat, and tears. And, they all night. I don't feel like there was a dip in the action.
No.
At any point Saturday night.
No.
And then I wasn't able to watch all of the GCW versus New South show on Sunday. I did make it an emphasis to see Kenzie Page versus Billy Starks. Because I know those 2 girls have got a lot of buzz about being kind of the future of women's wrestling. I think Billy Starks is still in high school herself.
Yeah.
Kenzie Page, I think, is in her early 20s. She's the New South champion right now. Those 2 girls tore the house down as well. We talk about it all the time on this podcast. Like, you can get the moves down and you can figure out the match flow. But the thing that comes a little bit later is figuring out what your character is and figuring out what you can do to either make people cheer for you or to make people despise you, right? And a lot of times that's something that the fans can tell instantly. And it's almost like a confidence from the performers aspect. And when Billy Starks comes out, the crowd just immediately loves her. Like she has an energy about her. And then when Kenzie comes out, there's just a fuck you energy, like fuck you, I'm the best. And she's got the huge ass title. She holds it up, and both those women look like stars, man. Like, people who have dubbed them kind of the future of women's wrestling. I think that's that's probably a safe bet at this point. Both of them too are getting sort of big time. Kenzie is an NWA, and Billy Starks. She just recently had a match that aired on AEW Dark against Britt Baker, where people were like, the AEW management was impressed with her and won her back. I think Kenzie's been on Dark too, so it's cool to see all these people that are kind of hovering here around Alabama, because Alabama hasn't really been a hotbed for independent wrestling in the past.
Yeah.
But now it is slowly starting to turn. And a lot of it is thanks to guys like, Cabana Man Dan, who was at the GCW show Saturday night. I remember when, it had to have been, 18, 19 to 2008, 2009, like Cabana Man Dan and those guys were around, and he was a legend at that point. And so those guys like him really sort of built the groundwork that, the New South guys, the Rolando Perez's, the Kenzie Pages, the Hunter Drakes, the Braden Toons, all those guys and girls who were sort of carrying the torch, that foundation was kind of laid by him. So it was cool to see him Saturday night too. And he got a fucking huge ovation.
Yeah.
And that match against Blake Christian, another guy who is right there on the cusp of being on TV every single week.
Yeah, so I spotted him last night during the very end of Dynamite. During after when Mark Briscoe was celebrating. We'll get to that in a little while, but I spotted him on stage, and I turned to Carter. Carter was with me the other night. I said, "Hey, we saw that dude wrestle the other night." I was like, "Why is he there?" And he was standing beside like Hangman or somebody. And then I got on Twitter, and he had a dark match with Claudio last night. So that was
that people in the house said was kind of a quiet banger for what it was.
May have to keep an eye on Dark in the near future for that.
Yeah, so
and shout out Twitter follower. Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off, but shout out Twitter follower Cindy Lou, who I saw something she tweeted the other night, and she's apparently a Blake Christian hater, and she was the one. She had the boo signs the other night, booing him, following him around. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a whole thing. I think it's for fun, but yeah, she's a Blake Christian hater.
That Blake Christian guy, solid as shit too. Was so damn good. So yeah, I was impressed. They're coming back in June. Next time we have to make it a point to go to both shows.
Yeah.
I can only find a babysitter for one. Unfortunately, that is the life of having a 3-year-old and a 7-month-old. You can only get the babysitter for one. So we hit on the GCW Huntsville show because it's closer to both of us. But we'll have to go next time to both of them. And we got to get out to a New South show at some point too as well. And we got to have some of those guys on the podcast.
Yeah, someone Cassio or somebody introduced me to Adam Priest. Yeah, it was Cassio because he's like, "Hey, you need to get this dude on your podcast." And Adam was like, "Yeah, just hit me down
too." That was a great match. Him and Tony Deppen.
Yeah,
Deppen's another one of those guys that are like hovering around, sort of being on national TV every single week.
Just an all-around great fucking show. Big energy. Like, I thought it would run longer, which, turns out I'm glad it didn't because my back and fucking legs were killing me the next day from standing for so long. But yeah, just fucking lots of fun. Big fun. I heard that it was wild as shit over in the Shoals on Sunday as well. I want to go to that Hoss event coming up for New South. Have you seen like some of the people they're announcing?
Yeah, so that's their big thing that they do every year. That they have, I think they've had Effie before for that thing. They've had Danhausen, like bringing in some big independent names. So yeah, we'll have to try to make it out to that for sure.
Yeah, I think that's early March.
It's an exciting time, like to be a wrestling fan in North Alabama, particularly. So
yeah.
Shout out to everybody that's making the scene work, man.
Yeah, I didn't meet him. I'm Facebook friends with an old boy of yours, Dump Sanders, that runs New South, right?
New South, yeah.
Yeah,
he was another one of those guys who, when I was 17, 18, was incredibly nice to me when he didn't have to be because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. But he was always super cool, and just from the brief talks that him and I have had, I know this has been something that's been a long time coming. And a lot of, I'm sure, countless hours put in trying to making this thing work. So to kind of see it now, because Alabama has always had, these little indie shows, like the shit that I was kind of a part of, right? Where it's like, there's no kind of production involved with it. Like it's just, there's 15 people there. That's it. The New South, these, at least from their social media, like, these videos and these pictures they're fucking high quality stuff. Like these guys and girls have entrance videos. There's fucking monitors. There's graphics. Like it's a whole work. These people are putting in the work.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
whoever does the graphics shout out to the graphic artists for New South because they're fucking killing it.
Pictures
just on
too.
top of it. Yeah.
Pictures are fucking high quality shit. So, yeah, man, I could be, Dump and I we're not super close, but man, just somebody from the past that it's cool to see them trying to make the dream work each and every month.
We've been talking about getting over to one of their like individual shows, like outside of something with GCW for a minute. So we definitely got to do that. I think I'll definitely get in on that Hoss event.
Yeah, we'll make that a priority.
Well, unless you got anything else from that you want to touch on, I say we get into the trial of Sami Zayn.
Yeah. Oh boy, this was this the best segment that we're going to cover on the podcast?
Yeah, for sure, because I watched it again today, or I watched the second half of it again today.
I mean, we're 30. Let's see, we're 36 episodes in, 37, somewhere like that.
I almost, I'm like this close. Patrick can see it, but y'all can't. I'm this close to getting my wife to watch the Rumble with me Saturday night because of the trial of Sami Zayn. And shout out Steven, her boss. He goes into her office and talks about wrestling a lot because he knows that we got a podcast and
Nice.
knows that Carter and I watch wrestling. And he's been talking to her about it. And so I started telling her about it the other night. And I was like, it's like the best storytelling happening this year. I said it's right up there to me. It's right up there with the story from last year. And I think we talked about this last week with the MJF and Punk story. But I mean, and I got goddamn emotional rewatching it again today. With you see Sammy's reaction to the video that Jay's put together, and he's got tears on deck, but he's not crying. It's in his eyes, you know.
Yeah.
And then Jay plays it up like I wrote down in my notes. He said, you know, he took bullets for me, he took bullets for y'all. He's like, my dog basically bulletproof.
Yeah.
And I loved that. I loved it so much. I mean, I only had one other little note from the Raw thing the other night. We can get to it in a little bit. But, yeah, man, I mean, this is the best shit on TV right now for me.
Jay saying that Sammy never gave up seeing the good in him, and that's what family does.
Yeah.
Like, man, like this is art. Like, you know, pro wrestling, it is an art form, but very rarely does it reach levels like what this story is, which is why I think it's resonated with so many people and become so popular. How do you, at this point, how do you not have Sammy and Roman at WrestleMania? There is no, I don't see how you can watch that segment. If you're not going to get The Rock, which I guess we'll put that out there. That was sort of the big news last week. If the dirt sheets are to be believed, and I feel like I say that every week, but like I think you have to do it, just a disclaimer at this point. WWE's not going to get The Rock. If you're not going to get The Rock, Sammy's the guy. I like Cody Rhodes. We both like Cody Rhodes. If Cody Rhodes wins the Royal Rumble after having a month's worth of these lead-up packages and making it feel like this is the obvious choice, what just a basic way to go about telling a story, right? Like, there's nothing interesting about that at all. Sami Zayn is the guy. And, you know, at this point, it doesn't even make any sense to have Sammy and Kevin team up to go against the Usos at WrestleMania, like what was rumored to be believed, because Jay and Jimmy are in Sammy's corner. So how are you gonna wrap this thing up in a way that's logical and satisfying, right? Like, Roman's the big bad guy that everyone is slowly gonna turn on. And for the bloodline to dissolve, as dominant as it's been for the past 2 years, the foil for the bloodline has to come from within the bloodline, from somebody that's been in there. We do not need to insert people like Cody Rhodes or The Rock or Stone Cold or whoever the fuck. Does not need to come into the story now. That's bad storytelling, right? Like, that's, you know, that's you watching an Avengers movie, and here comes the big bad guy, and you've been watching it for 2 hours and 15 minutes, and the total runtime is 2:30, and in the last 10, here comes this fucking other bad guy that they got to fight. It's like, well, well, why didn't we just start the movie at this point then? Why did we, like, you can't just act like the rest of this didn't happen. So, you know, I get it. Cody returning from an injury. I haven't seen a single fan that's like, oh, I would rather see Cody and Roman versus Roman and Sammy. I haven't seen that. I've heard a lot of people be like, you can't do Roman versus Sammy at WrestleMania. Come on now. And it's like, why?
That's the story.
Who is getting? We watch Raw and SmackDown every single week, right? When they walk through the walk down the ramp, Who gets the biggest reaction? Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn. So there's the match. The crowd's telling you what they want to do. Just make it happen.
Yeah,
I do not understand the hesitation at this point.
it's a major ripoff if we don't get it. They're toying with our emotions, and I don't appreciate it.
Well, here's the thing. You at this point you can't have Sami Zayn in the Royal. If Sami's not going to win the Rumble, he can't actually be in the Rumble match, right? Because if he's in there, the expectation in the crowd is going to be like, we want this dude to win. And if Cody Rhodes ends up being the last guy standing, my fear is that he gets booed out of San Antonio.
So what did Roman mean then by when he said, "I don't want to see you again until Saturday, and I need you to do work," or whatever he said? I mean, I thought that just implied that he was in the Rumble.
And that's what
But if
kind of making me think
Roman
too.
but if Roman doesn't want any other output for him than for him to win, because he doesn't want him to go in and lose and make the bloodline look bad. So does Roman want him to win so that he can face him at Mania?
So here, I'm going to put my fantasy booker hat on here for the next couple minutes. Here we go. I'm going to give Triple H the answers. I'm going to do the douchey internet wrestling community fan thing, and I'm going to book this match. Here we go. Sami Zayn has to win the Royal Rumble. Like when Royal Rumble starts, the pay-per-view starts, it's Jay, Jimmy, and Sammy. Roman telling the three of them, all three of y'all going to be in this Royal Rumble match. We're going to win it for the bloodline because we're not even going to wrestle at WrestleMania because one of y'all is going to win it, and we're going to have a celebration at WrestleMania night instead of having a match for how awesome I am, and we're going to have – that's when we'll have the acknowledgement ceremony for everybody, right? So then Sammy – you could do Sammy and Cody Rhodes if you want the last two. Sami Zayn, boom, ends up winning the Royal Rumble. Doesn't even get a chance to celebrate because here comes Roman's music. Roman and the Usos come down there. But we kind of get an inclination like, okay, Roman's a little bit leery of Sami Zayn, right? Like, he's kind of stealing the spotlight from him. So then when we go to Elimination Chambers in Montreal, Roman tells Sami, you're going to be in the Elimination Chamber match with me. You're going to watch my back. That way, we're going to get clearer here. When we get clearer here, boom, it's going to be a celebration at WrestleMania. You know, that's when we'll call you Sammy Uso. That's when you'll finally get it right. Well, in the Elimination Chamber match, that's where Roman, at some point middle through the match, got to start beating the shit out of Sami Zayn. And Sami Zayn has to fire back with an haluva kick at some point. And if that's where we want to have Roman lose one of the titles, we can have Roman lose one of the titles at that point to whoever. It can be a Cody Rhodes or whoever the fuck we want it to be. And then the next night on Raw or SmackDown or whatever, you know, Sammy tells Roman, hey, I'm coming for that belt, and I am going to challenge you at WrestleMania. It's going to be Roman and Sami Zayn, and that's just how you get to it.
Yeah.
It can't be, like, I don't know, like, that's the match. I know I keep saying, but it's right there in front of you.
Yeah, there's no other way this ends, and I'm happy.
And you can have, like, throughout that whole lead up, we've got a couple months to WrestleMania. Jimmy and Jay can lose one of the tag belts. They can lose another one of the tag belts because Jey Uso has to be in Sammy's corner.
Yeah.
And I would do that Elimination Chamber
made
too.
It pretty clear.
I would put Sammy and Jey Uso in that Elimination Chamber match in Montreal in February. And when Roman starts beating the shit out of Sami Zayn, Jey Uso starts beating the shit out of Roman Reigns. Because if he started the whole bloodline angle started with Roman just decimating Jey Uso, that's how it needs to kind of end too. Like, and I think that's what they might do. Otherwise, I don't know why you would have Jey Uso like stopping Solo Sikoa. To me, the Jay's WrestleMania match should be against Solo.
Yeah, that could work.
And I would have, if you're not going to have Cody Rhodes challenge Roman, or if he has the title, I think the match with Cody Rhodes is, if he's willing to do it, and it sounds like they might get him, do Cody Rhodes and John Cena.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to put a belt on Cody sooner rather than later.
And I think Elimination Chamber might be a good place to do it because you can protect everybody, right? You put it in that match. There's 6 dudes. You know, you can still make Roman look semi-strong if all these people have gained, you know, the bloodline has completely ganged up on him or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, that might be the way to go. But yeah, I got finished with some work early this afternoon and uh, decided I wanted to rewatch it just to kind of get a refresher on it before we talked about it. And I got pumped up. I got fucking emotional. Like I definitely, I feel like if I show this segment to Jamie, she's in. If nothing else, then for the Rumble and for Mania, and then she'll be out just to see how this story plays out.
yeah, it's great. And I've heard some people theorize too, like, oh, Sami's going to reveal himself to be like the real conspiracy or the real grandmaster theorist, right? And he's been setting all this stuff up to actually do become the head of the table and pry the belt away from Roman. You can't do that either because then it doesn't make Sami a genuine babyface. It makes him this conniving sort of manipulator. And you can't sympathize with that. Like the audience is sympathizing with Sami Zayn right now because essentially he is a person searching for a family, right? Like that is what has made this compelling, is that for whatever reason, he has decided that he is seeking the approval of Roman Reigns and the bloodline. And he's gotten it now from Jay and Jimmy. And so if you turn that around and say, oh, I actually really didn't care about any of this. I just wanted to try to get the title from Roman and insert myself. Well, then you make Jay. Like, you just ruin that whole payoff where Jay struggled to accept Sami and now has accepted Sami. Now you make Jay look like an idiot and you make Sami not look like a babyface. He looks like kind of a psychopath. So, you know, the way to play this is to have Sami be genuine. And to have him really look at Roman at some point and be like, I wanted the approval from you so bad. You know, you were the head of the table. You were somebody that I wanted to be my brother so bad. But now, based off the actions that you've done to me, now I'm coming for revenge. Now I'm coming for retribution. I'm coming for that title.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's compelling and it's the best thing going. There's no doubt about that. I do want to touch on a little bit more from the Raw 30 celebration the other night. 2 quick things, 2 quick hits. Anytime the Jerry Lawler gets to be the commentator on a match and just go, ah, is one of my favorite things in the world. I was so fucking happy to hear that again the other night. And then I blurt laughed when the fucking DX was in the ring with the Imperium and they're trying to figure out like who could fight. And Triple H is like, I'm retired, dude. I laughed so fucking hard. The way he said it, the delivery and everything was fucking perfect. Yeah, I loved it. That's really the only other things I wanted to hit on that from the other night.
I knew it wasn't going to happen, but there was a part of me that was like, God, I want to see Gunther fucking chop the shit out of one of these dudes from DX at some point. But it was good. At least, you know, and X-Pac even tweeted out a little snarky comment. Because, you know, fucking Vince would have been booking this thing. Like, he would have made Imperium look like little bitches, right? The way that he made, like, the Revival look like bitches when they did this whole thing again. And so X-Pac was like, you know, I'm kind of bummed out we didn't get to hit our finishers on guys who have to stick around and still draw money, which is a little snarky, probably a little jab at the old man there. But yeah, you know, it's a good way to use legends. I mean, I don't really care that Brock Lesnar's back. I don't know how you feel about that, but
I could care less.
Yeah,
it does nothing for me.
No,
doesn't move the meter.
No, and I mean, whatever. You know, the rumor is Brock and Bobby, Hell in a Cell, WrestleMania. Like, okay. I mean, that's fine. It's something.
I don't care.
Yeah, it's something. But I did love the finish of that match, though, where Brock just F5 Bobby and then F5 Austin Theory on top of Bobby to get the pin. So that was nice.
Well, let's get into the Rumble predictions real quick before we get into Dynamite. You got the men's. We've already kind of said it's going to probably end up being between Sammy and Cody near the end.
I
What do you think about the women's Rumble?
I mean, my pick would be Rhea Ripley.
Yeah,
I think that
that's kind of the consensus I'm seeing on
yeah,
the
I
internet.
think that they're we've talked about it how much we think she a star she is. Um, I think that's where they go. You could see a wild card. Could Alexa Bliss lose to Bianca and then win the Rumble? But by help for Uncle Howdy or whatever. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess she could. Raquel Rodriguez or Raquel Gonzalez. What's her name? The Gonzalez.
I think it's Gonzalez.
Yeah. So she might be a wild card too. They've put a lot of stock into her. The question's going to be though, if whoever wins, which women's title are they going for? Like for instance, if it's Rhea
Yeah.
Ripley, is it Rhea and Bianca or is it Rhea and Charlotte? I think the money's in a Rhea Ripley Bianca Belair match. I've thought that for a while. They've had little brushes past each other and stuff like that, and little backstage segments. So, yeah, that's my women's pick, Rhea Ripley.
What about obviously the biggest match of the night? I guess would be Roman versus Kevin Owens. I don't think they'll let KO get this one, but it'll be a banger of a match, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you would expect Roman to still be champion going into WrestleMania. If they're going to split the titles before WrestleMania, like I said, now is not. You do it at Elimination Chamber where you have a bunch of different people involved, where he can end up losing the title that way. Because he doesn't even have to be pinned at Elimination Chamber, right, to lose the title. Well, I guess he does, yeah, because it goes down. Yeah, because he would have to, right? Because that's how that works. But anyway, yeah, I think Roman takes it at Royal Rumble.
And then there's Bianca Belair versus Alexa Bliss. What are you thinking?
I think it's Bianca. Because I don't even know. That's not the real question. The real question in that match is going to be like, does Alexa Bliss go full back to her character with Bray Wyatt and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Which I guess was going to happen at that point, right?
Yeah. That's kind of the assumption.
Yeah.
And then Bray Wyatt versus LA Knight. I'm sure they'll put Bray Wyatt over in that one. But do we get the full Fiend? Like, do you think he comes out in full Fiend?
I hope not. I hope not. I was never a fan of the Fiend kind of get up. To me, Bray, you're not going to be able to top Bray Wyatt as the cult leader back in the day with the Hawaiian shirts and the hat. That was the coolest iteration to me of Bray Wyatt. So I guess are we going to get an Uncle Howdy reveal too in this match? Some people are speculating like is Undertaker going to be involved? I don't see Undertaker getting involved in this pitch black match whatsoever.
No, I mean they did interact the other night on the Raw celebration, but
I think that was just that was a mulligan for the botch job that they did between Bray Wyatt and Undertaker at WrestleMania. Like those two had a match at WrestleMania 31 where Bray Wyatt absolutely should have beaten Undertaker. Bray Wyatt should have been the one to beat Undertaker Street, if we're being honest. I know that like they let Brock beat it and they went on to make Brock this big time part time attraction, but you could have done that anyway, just by the nature of him being Brock Lesnar. Bray should have been the one to beat Taker and to keep our true passing the torch moment from one supernatural-esque character to another one, to let it keep going that way. So I think that's all that little interaction was just like, hey, sorry we fucked it up the first time.
Yeah. Here's a nice little nugget. So I think that pretty much wraps up the Rumble. Let's.
Wait, what is a pitch black match?
Hits.
Have they said what a pitch black match is?
They haven't really said, yeah. It'd probably be some logistical, technical nightmare to try to get on film properly or video.
Were you ever aware of the Monsters Ball match in TNA?
Nah.
So that was an Abyss creation back in the day. And the Monsters Ball match, I think if I remember it correctly, it was a no DQ match, but the gimmick was they locked you in a dark room for 24 hours beforehand. That was like the thing, and then like they let you out, and of course it was supposed to like unlock make you go crazy and shit. I kind of wish what if the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match was just as simple as like, we're gonna lock you in this room for 24 hours, and the only thing that you have to drink is Mountain Dew. And when we let you out, you're gonna be so fucking hyped up on caffeine and and sugar and shit, and and that's the whole gimmick of the match. 27 Mountain Dews and 24 hours of darkness. Yeah, all right, now come out and wrestle. Tweaking your...
Just be jacked up on sugar,
tweaking your fucking head off.
Fucking infection in your kidneys.
Yeah. It's got to be a no DQ match, right?
You would assume?
I mean, it doesn't make sense to do a pitch black match and have... Because we know what a lights out match is. I mean, that has its history in professional wrestling. But yeah, But maybe they don't know what a pitch black match is. Maybe that's why they haven't said.
Or lights out, yeah.
Because they're figuring out what a Mountain Dew pitch black match looks like.
Yeah. Who knows, man? I guess we'll find out Saturday.
Yeah, hopefully it's
I would assume
not terrible.
It would be the first match. I don't know. I mean, maybe they start off with the women's match and then do lights out. I don't know what kind of order they'll do these in. I don't know. We're already about 35 minutes in. Let's get into Dynamite a little bit, and we can just do quick hitters on some of these because there was a lot happening last night, and we don't need to spend much time on any of these except for the last one probably. First was Jericho and Sammy Guevara defeated Ricky Starks and Action Andretti, and they've just leaned in on Danny Garcia being full heel. I mean, because he gave Sammy the bat last night, right? That allowed the Jericho Appreciation Society to get the win.
Garcia hit him with the bat.
That's right.
A hell of a damn. A lot of times when people use bats to the head, they make it look shitty. Garcia looked like he was trying to take motherfucker's head off with that damn bat. So kudos to him. That's one of the most convincing bat shots I've ever seen. Whatever. I really wish they would give Ricky Stark something else to do than be in a tag team match with a dude that was just only on TV a couple weeks ago for the first time. Like, Action Andretti's cool. He's athletic as hell, and I think he's going to have a bright future in that company. But, like, I don't know, man. Ricky's, like, one of your top 4 dudes. Like, why I don't know why he's still embroiled in this. This could be anybody else that could be helping. Because the whole thing about Jericho now is he just needs to make new stars. Well, Ricky Starks is a star. You don't have to make a new one. This could have been anybody else.
Right.
It could be Jungle Boy. Like, why instead of Jungle Boy doing what he's doing with Hook, could have just as easily been Jungle Boy in this match.
Yeah, it's like they're just trying to figure out what to do with him until Christian Cage comes back, and they can have like an actual match.
Well, and similarly, that's exactly what they're doing with Ricky Starks, right? They don't know, they can't put him in the title picture yet. And the TNT champion is a babyface as well, so you can't make him do that. So you're like, oh, we'll just let him feud with Jericho for like 2 months until we figure something else out. So, whatever. The match was fine.
So then, they had some technical issues last night. It felt like Excalibur was off a little bit, and maybe there were some notes that got mismatched along the way, but like he felt like he was off his game a little towards the beginning, and at one point I thought they were going to break. They popped up the TNT Championship belt graphic, and he was just like, "What's happening?" It was kind of an awkward moment. But then they finally did get to the Darby Allin and Buddy Matthews match. I have to admit that my dog was running fucking insane during this match, and I missed the majority of it. as much as I would like to have seen
I
it.
thought you were gonna say your dog
I
is
was trying
your
to
dog
corral
is
her.
such a Darby Allin fan that the dog was just losing it and shit because he was on TV.
I wish that were the case. She grabbed goddamn guitar pedals. She's taken to grabbing my 45 records off of one of my shelves, and she grabbed a baby Yoda. Like basically everything that is within her reach that she knows she's not supposed to have. There's about an hour every night where she just runs fucking wild and wants to go and get it because she knows that we'll give her a treat to trade. Like she knows the word
Okay.
trade. So she just goes and starts grabbing shit. She grabs fucking remote controls, just whatever she thinks she can get a fucking trade for. And she does this for about an hour a day, and then she just chills.
Gotcha.
But last night it was during goddamn Dynamite, so I missed most of this one. But it looked like it was a banger.
Yeah, for the short amount of time they had, Buddy Matthews has to be the most yoked, but still like uber athletic dude that wrestling has ever seen. Like, and AEW's got a couple of them, right? Like Pac is another one, but Buddy Matthews has this size. And when he was wrestling last night, I had this idea or this thought. You know, much like how Brock Lesnar had Paul Heyman there for a while, and Brock Lesnar was presented as this big deal and didn't really have to carry a lot of the promos because he had Paul Heyman, who's one of the best talkers of all time. But like that really wouldn't work in AEW because the fan base responds to the in-ring action so much. But if you gave Buddy Matthews a talker as for a manager, and you presented Buddy Matthews as, here in this company of AEW, where everyone is such a great, fantastic professional wrestler, my client here in Buddy Matthews is the top of the fucking mountain, and there's nobody that's better than this dude. And just like positioning Buddy Matthews as like a Brock Lesnar type talent, but for the AEW roster, I think that dude is. If you presented him in that light, I think he'd be money. If he fucking came out in like a black suit with a title over his shoulder and somebody could handle all the talking for him, and he just went out there and just decimated folks and was just 5-star after 5-star after 5-star match like that, I feel like he could be a world champion.
I think your mic is hitting your hoodie on the
my
right
bad.
side. Is the mic on your right side? It's cool. I just noticed it. It's probably been doing the whole time. Sorry for the technical difficulties last week and probably this week, y'all. Patrick's mic, we think, completely shit the bed before we started, so he's on his phone with a pair of earbuds. So we're just trying to make this shit work, and I can't figure out why mine's so goddamn hot. I know I lowered it as low as about as it'll fucking go, but anyway. So yeah, up next, Jungle Boy Jack Perry and Hook got the win over Ethan Page and Matt Hardy. Yeah, I don't know. This one seemed kind of pointless. Like you said, they're just trying to do something with Jungle Boy until Christian Cage gets back, and they're putting him in matches with Hook, which are fine. They're entertaining, but they're not really doing anything to...
Hook is just still so green, it's hard to, like, do anything with them past what they are. Like, you can come in and give him a couple spots, but he's not ready to wrestle 15 minutes and, go through a bunch of different spots and movements and all that kind of stuff like that. He's not there yet, which kind of hampers what you can do with him.
Yeah. And then up next, Bryan Danielson got the win over Brian Cage. There's headlines that say that Cage's contract is up soon, but they haven't really said when or like if they think he'll get re-signed and be kind of one of the Ring of Honor guys or what's happening there. But he's gotten a lot of TV time lately.
But
this was probably my least favorite of the matches that Danielson has done.
Yeah,
lately.
It's different though. Like he fought from underneath way more last night.
Yeah.
So I think that was just he wanted to kind of have a different style, right? Wrestle a big dude, but a big dude who's still athletic, who can do some of the more high risk moves and that kind of stuff. And then it gave Danielson an opportunity to sell his ass off as a babyface, and now they are working the arm angle that MJF's finishing move is the arm bar. So now you get that, and now you get Danielson really fighting from underneath as the doctors and stuff are trying to tell him he shouldn't wrestle, but nothing's going to stop him.
Yeah, it was good to see Takeshita to come out and try to get his back.
Yeah,
love that.
Yeah,
love to see that.
And then
on
MJF's
TV.
promo in the back was
it's
weird. So we talked about like the weird MJF doing the like real hokey, stupid kind of shit with Takeshita in those promos, but now he's turned back to what he was. That made everyone be like, okay, this dude is the shit on the microphone. It kind of makes me think that like, well, I mean, we talk about it every week at this point, but like having a writing staff, that's where writers come in, and so you can track a character's arc and be like, well, why would MJF spend these 2 weeks saying this when this is where he's come from? I don't know. It just, I say it all the time. This show has a schizophrenia to it at sometimes. Sometimes it's the schizophrenia inside the show where it's like all over the place. And then it's like, it's that from week to week. Sometimes we're like characters, you're like, well, I don't know if that character would do that in this situation based off what I watched last week. So, MJF's probably the biggest example of that right now. But, I mean, that dude can just give him a microphone, put him in front of a camera, give him 2.5 minutes. He's going to give you gold every single time for the most part.
Yeah. So up next, Ruby Soho defeated Tony Storm with a little assist coming out of the back from Dr. Britt Baker, DMD.
So
Didn't really
I guess
see that coming.
A babyface Britt turn is happening now.
Seems kind of weird, right? I mean, they are playing up this AEW Originals thing that you've kind of talked about for a while, that you thought they should do a Originals versus WWE thing, but they leaned into it real heavy last. They talked about it some last week, but they fucking leaned into it.
Yeah, I think that's a foregone conclusion at that point. At this point, this is probably what the Biggs women's match at the pay-per-view is going to be. Some kind of 6-woman tag between the AEW original side and the WWE ex-WWE girls side. It's just going to be a question of who's the third woman on each side, because you clearly have Tony and Saraya on one side, you have Britt and Jamie Hayter on the other. So who will be the third? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, in a perfect world, it's Mercedes Moné is the heel, and then Sheeta for Britt and Jamie. But maybe there's more. Maybe it's a big 8-woman tag. Who knows? And you insert those people. We talked about that last week. The different options you could have to go there. So it'll be good. It's gearing up to be a good story. Outside of outside of Darby Allin doing what he's doing every single week, and the AEW World Title story, I think I'm the most invested in this one with the women. I think it's the third best thing they have going on right now, and it's really, the Darby one really isn't even a story. It's just he's on TV every single week. So this is actually one of the better stories they're doing on the show right now.
So last but not least, for sure, Mark Briscoe got to be on TV last night in a match against Jay Lethal, and my man Jay was going through it last night.
Yeah,
he was emotional from the get-go. I felt bad for him. I was like, I don't know how he can fucking do this match. He was just going through it bad, and I mean they put on a hell of a show. Mark got the win. Big celebration for his brother there at the end. I mean, did Do you think we get more of him on TV? Do you think this was a door opener, or do you think Warner was like, "We'll give you one time because of
I
the
mean, I think
situation"?
Meltzer reported that Mark Briscoe is free to appear on AEW going forward. Which is
Really?
that was the whole time I was watching that match. As beautiful of a tribute as what AEW did last night, it was incredibly bittersweet, particularly watching Mark Briscoe wrestle, because you're just like, man, it should have been him and Jay, and they should have been on this program years ago. Like the Briscoes should have been in front of a big time national audience, literally years ago. I mean, they've been great for a while now, and it just sucks that it took Jay's death to get this level of exposure for the Briscoe name. And Mark and Jay, they that was such a great match. And Mark, to just be able to do that, I don't know how you find the strength to do it. And that was something that I saw, a lot of people on Twitter, whenever Jay passed, they were like, oh, wrestling's not important right now. And I mean, I guess that's a natural response to kind of have, but I was always, anytime I would see that, I would kind of just cringe a little bit, because obviously it's not more important than his life or, the life and health of his two daughters. But I think with Mark, if it's to be believed, and I don't see how it wouldn't be at this point, that he requested this match, it just goes to show you, like, man, wrestling was fucking important to these guys. And it was important to Jay. And for Mark to have that moment really sort of in memory of his brother it was touching to watch. I managed to keep it together until Mark looked in the camera and said, Jamin, I love you, boy. I love you, man. And I was like, okay, well, here come the damn waterworks. So it was just kudos to everyone involved to put this on the air. It was good to see that the video package remembering Jay had a lot of stuff outside the ring in it too, because that was one of the things that you and I talked about last week is, the stories that these people told about him who knew him well. There weren't a lot of memories about, oh, we did this cool ass spot in a match in, Philadelphia, right? It was every time I saw Jay, like, he'd be like, what, what's up, boy? Like, and Ian Riccaboni, how's your family? Ian Riccaboni last night, I thought did an absolutely amazing job. The commentary team, him, Caprice, Excalibur, you could clearly tell they were all emotional. But Riccaboni just bringing that human element to it and being like, if there's someone out there, like, don't wait to tell them you love them. And then, him telling the stories about in those brief moments that he had about them, running up and down the roads together, going to Ring of Honor stuff and traveling together. All of it was just great. It was fantastic. But again, just so bittersweet because, man, these guys would have been stars had WWE had the courage to sign them, or he had Warner let AEW and Tony put them on television earlier. They were. You saw it last night, even in Mark's wrestling. Right? There's nobody that wrestles like him. You can't find it anywhere.
Yeah.
And they were like that for their whole tag team.
Yeah, if you've never listened to the show and you don't know, I know very little about the Briscoes. I learned a lot more in the last week, obviously. But I've seen a lot of stuff on TikTok in the last few days, and people sharing stuff and like sharing their old promos and stuff. And one of the ones I ran across yesterday was a story. They were talking about, they tried out with WWE and wherever it was, and then they flew them down to Florida and did a show down there. And we're like, yeah, we're going to holler back at y'all. And they said it went on like a month, didn't hear, and went another month. And they finally got the call, and we're like, yeah, we decided that you guys are not aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah,
cosmetically
that's the
pleasing.
If there's a Briscoe promo to watch, it's that one. That's their most famous one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was really good. And then there was another one that popped up and was talking about dudes being in the gym. And then in the background, Mark just jumps up on a tree limb and starts doing pull-ups. He's like,
Yeah.
"We in God's gym, baby!" And then Jay's like, got these buckets. So he's like, "I got 5 gallon buckets of chicken
Yeah.
shit. I'm out here."
They were just they were great. And I
it was
think
great.
I think it's free on the Ring of Honor YouTube now. If you've never seen it, they did like a cinematic match between Jay and Mark Briscoe where their dad was the referee. And they did it on their farm at Sandy Fort. Yeah,
Oh
it's
boy.
great. It's crazy. Uh, yeah, another classic Jay line. Terry Funk ain't wearing no mouthpiece as they were when they were feuding against the American Wolves.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I go on and on, man. Jay Briscoe was one of one. It's been said many times, and um, at least we have the matches to go back and watch.
Yeah.
It's a good thing that it's in the hands of a guy like Tony Khan now, because you can tell he is, for all the faults that we give Tony about, probably not being the best at creative or this and that, that dude's a fan of pro wrestling, and like a real legitimate fan of pro wrestling. You hear all the people talk about the stuff that he's quietly doing behind the scenes to help Jay's family out. And we've heard that time and time again from I can't remember the one wrestler, but he was like, I got hurt, and Tony and them like kept paying me and like just paid the medical bills. Like there's just shit like that. So he seems to be a stand-up dude behind the scenes as well too.
Well, and yeah, I saw tweets about that last night. They're like, we shit on billionaires the way they run their companies a lot of times, but they're like, he took care of the Hubers when Brody passed, and still probably helping them out a lot. Yeah, it seems like he's got his heart. His heart is in the right place, and I know that he's probably just giving them a ton of money and to start with, but like 100% of the sales from the shirt that they put on sale last night are going to the family too.
Just shout out to everybody involved in that. It was great to watch, and we wish the Pugh family the best going forward, and hopefully Mark Briscoe continues to be on television. There's stuff you can do with him if he still wants to wrestle, and it looks like we haven't got any indication that he doesn't want to continue wrestling.
Yeah. You could break up, you could break up that whole bullshit they got Jay Lethal doing right now and let him and Jay get out there and put on some bangers.
Him and Mark Briscoe could be a tag team, or, however they decide to go moving forward. There's even Mark Briscoe is a world champ. There's that storyline. You could do it if you wanted to. He's got the talent. He's got the charisma.
Yeah. Yeah, you could put the TNT
or the
on
Ring
it
of
for
Honor
sure.
world title.
Which would be ironic.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And kind of funny.
Really sticking it to the Warner execs after all this time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, man. Just a great week for wrestling in that we saw a really fun match. It's still, it's been over a week since Jay's passing, and that sucks. But I thought it was a beautiful tribute to him last night. The trial of Sami Zayn was, one of the best things to happen to WWE in a long, long time, in my opinion. We got the Rumble this weekend, and so we'll have a fun show next week for sure, man. Anything in particular you're excited about that's coming up?
I'm just ready to see how the main event title in WWE starts shaking out. I'm ready to see that storyline start happening. Because boy, they have a baby face and Sami Zayn in the way that company has not had in a very long time, and it's sitting there for the taking if they decide to do it. So
don't fuck this up, Hunter.
At this point, it's about every 10 years, right? WrestleMania 20 was Benoit and Eddie, obviously at that time, Benoit was a guy who had never won a world title before. So they had that at WrestleMania 20. WrestleMania 30 was Daniel Bryan. And here we are at 40. Every 10 years, if you wanted to make that a thing, you have Sami Zayn.
Well, man, we appreciate y'all listening. Give us a follow on Twitter or Instagram at Alabama Slam Pod, and you can search us on Facebook as well. Just search the Alabama Slam Podcast, and you'll see our little orange and red and black logo there. And send us a message, holler at us if you got any questions. We'll try to answer them. And we'll see y'all next week, man.
Later, guys.